I'm not Mitch Connor, but apparently I'm a gay-ass pervert. I don't know. I don't know if that comment was directed at me or Lucier, but I thought it was funny anyway. So here's Fox News. We got Syria's Assad says he receives info about U.S.-led coalition's anti-ISIS strikes. This is not really the full relevance of this article, but let's listen in on the video first.
Is pounding ISIS with dozens of new airstrikes as critics slam the White House for the lack of coherent strategy to defeat that terror group. Welcome, everybody. Brand new hour on this Monday morning of America's Newsroom. I'm Martha McCallum.
And I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning. Operation Inherent Resolve taking out 6 ISIS targets in Iraq, 3 in Syria. The strikes follow 3 days of air raids by Jordan. Meanwhile, a former top general slamming President Obama's strategy on Fox News Sunday.
Remember that all these paid generals that come on the news, they're all paid by the military-industrial complex. I should probably look that up and present that, but I don't think I'm going to do that. There's been numerous works of research into that, and that seems to always be the case.
There's confusion about what it is that we're facing. It's not just what has been defined as 40,000 fighters in the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. It's also a large segment within this radical version of Islam that is actually, is threatening our way of life.
National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin, the Pentagon Now. Jennifer, good morning. What can you tell us about, first, the latest airstrikes?
Well, Bill, basically, Jordan carried out a punishing wave of attacks for 3 straight days, focusing mostly on northeast Syria. Jordan's Air Force chief said Jordan launched 56 air raids since Thursday, including 19 targets on the first day. In the last 24 hours, however, according to CENTCOM, the pace for the coalition has slowed down. There were 6 strikes, as you mentioned, in Iraq and 3 in Syria. Near Raqqa in Syria, a coalition airstrike destroyed an armored vehicle. Near Kobani, an airstrike struck an ISIS tactical unit. Near Deir al-Zar, an airstrike destroyed 4 ISIL vehicles. Not exactly shock and awe. I think what the list of targets suggests is that there just isn't enough intelligence to continue the pace that we saw Jordan carry out with U.S. targeting help in those first few days, Bill.
Where does our current strategy stand? There's a big debate on this, Jennifer.
I'd just like to interject here for a second. How many civilians did they kill in those airstrikes, I wonder? Probably a lot.
Well, there are some cracks emerging in the coalition. For instance, we learned last week that the UAE, United Arab Emirates, a very capable air force, had stopped flying combat missions in December out of concern for its pilots' safety. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, announced this weekend that it would reconsider and rejoin the air combat mission. In fact, a squadron of UAE F-16s arrived in Jordan yesterday to take part in the mission again. The best description of the coalition chaos is from the former Defense Intelligence Chief, Lieutenant General Mike Flynn, on Fox News Sunday.
I feel like when we say ready break, all the players that are on the team, they're going off into different stadiums playing different sports. I mean, we really don't have an effective strategy that is coherent, that actually addresses the wider problem.
In Afghanistan today, it's interesting to note, a U.S. drone strike targeted a Taliban leader who had pledged his allegiance to ISIS. This is a former Gitmo detainee who was operating in Helmand province. The drone strike killed at least 8 people. It's not clear whether the former Gitmo detainee was one of them.
Wow.
Okay.
This is the wider problem.
I didn't rewind it back far enough.
I mean, we really don't have an effective strategy that is coherent, that actually addresses the wider problem.
This continually is the right-wing talking point, when the funny thing is ISIS is the actual existing factions of ISIS, not the beheading videos. Okay, that shit's fake. But the actual existing aspects of ISIS, which probably really is the Free Syrian Army, and there's a bit of evidence for that. I'll probably leave a few links in the description on that subject. They were created by the United States and Syria, or Israel and Britain. Anyway, Assad recently had an interview with the BBC, and he said some interesting things. Sometimes they convey a message, a general message, but there's nothing tactical. There's no dialogue. There's, let's say, information, but not dialogue. This is in response to a question about airstrikes that were conveyed to Damascus by third parties, including the Iraqi government. But he doesn't actually really communicate. He just, gets information. He doesn't discuss with them. No, definitely we cannot, and we do not have the will, and we don't. Oh, sorry. Maybe I should add this is about Assad trying to join the coalition. No, definitely we cannot, and we don't have the will, and we don't want, for one simple reason. Because we cannot be in alliance with countries which support terrorism, Assad said, in an apparent reference to the moderate Syrian rebels, which are supported by the United States. Yeah, the moderate Syrian rebels. They're not moderate, they're fucking terrorists. Those are the ones that were chemical bombing a couple of years ago and in Syria, fucking civilians, okay? Assad said he would refuse to discuss action against ISIS with U.S. officials because he said they don't talk to anyone unless he's a puppet. And they easily trample over international law, which is about our sovereignty now. So they don't talk to us, we don't talk to them. Assad also dismissed efforts to arm and train a force of moderate rebels to fight ISIS on the ground in Syria as a pipe dream. He does not support it because it's supporting terrorism. The Wall Street Journal reported last month that the program to arm and train Syrian rebels, run by the CIA, has been beset by issues, including weapons shipments that were between 5 and 20% of what was requested by rebel commanders. ISIS taunts America over intercepted weapons, Daily Mail. U.S. probing claims ISIS fighters seized airdrop weapons, Fox News. ISIS claims that intercepted weapons dropped by U.S. military, NBC News, etc., etc. They're not intercepting them, they're being dropped to them, for Christ's sake. The taunting is it's just part of the show, okay? Yeah, there's real military stuff going on in there, but see that those moderate Syrian rebels were originally there to take out Assad. Going back to January, February of 2012. And I've made a previous video. It's called How I Came to Realize News Was Hoaxing Us, or whatever I titled it, something like that. Made it pretty recently, so you want to go to my channel, go to the videos, watch that, okay? It's always been about overthrowing Assad. So let's check out a little bit of this BBC interview. I'm going to show a couple of clips, and I'll leave the link for the whole thing. Even though for some reason I'm not getting video with this, it's just audio. I don't understand that, but maybe others will actually get the video in that.
Do you talk to the Americans? There are American planes in the air above Syria the whole time. Do you coordinate?
No, because they don't talk to anyone unless he's puppet, and they easily trample over the international law, which is about our sovereignty now. So they don't talk to us. We don't talk to them.
But I'm curious that at a time when there's the American military in the air above Syria, and your people are in the air, your air force is also in the Syrian air force is in the air above Syria, that there haven't been any incidents between the two. No shots seem to have been traded. No planes have been shot down. That suggests to me, surely, someone's talking to someone here.
That's correct. But again, there's no direct cooperation only.
Direct? Is it via Iraq? That's what some people have said.
That's true. Through third party, more than one party, Iraq and other countries. Sometimes they convey message, general message, but there's nothing tactical.
So they don't tell you, we're going to be bombing at Raqqa at 10 o'clock this evening. Please keep out of the way.
We knew about the campaign before it started, but we didn't know about the details.
And is that a continuing dialogue that you have through third parties?
There's no dialogue. There's, let's say, information, but not dialogue.
They tell you things?
Something like this.
Do you tell them things?
No.
Of course they wouldn't tell them things. That would be strategically foolish. He knows what's up against him, okay? And I've seen numerous interviews with this guy. He is very cool-headed. They try to interviewers try to make him look stupid, or not just stupid, but what's the word I'm looking for? Try to get him to screw up, and say that he's. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Admit that he's basically supporting terrorism and stuff, and he does so in this interview. Now I'm going to play about 2 minutes of this interview here, and I suggest you watch the whole thing. The link is in the description. Oh, come on.
As Syria has disintegrated over the last 4 years,
Sorry.
President Bashar al-Assad has been at the...
Yes, Syria.
Valerie Amos, who's the UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, said in a statement to the Security Council in January of this year that she criticized very harshly what Islamic State and others are doing, but she also said the government's failing. She said, for example, last year there were 16 requests for convoys, aid convoys, into eastern Ghouta near Damascus. Only 4 were carried out. The other 12 requests were, quote, unanswered, denied, or subject to conditions that could not be accommodated. And so for them, that adds up to the Syrian government blocking aid convoys to civilians in those areas.
The same areas are shelling Damascus every day, the same area that he's talking about. How can we prevent them from food, and we cannot prevent them from having armaments?
So what are you saying, that they should bring in food themselves rather than just shells?
No, I mean, if we can prevent the food from accessing those areas, can't we prevent the armaments from accessing the same areas? How can we allow the armaments to cross?
I don't know how you run the war, but what I'm saying, the UN is saying
yeah. That's
that convoys are not getting in there.
I'm just putting you the contradiction in their statements, just to know. If you can prevent food from accessing, you can prevent armament. And definitely the priority for us as government is to prevent the armament from crossing.
So if civilians suffer as a result of the lack of these convoys, that for you is unavoidable collateral damage?
No, we are talking about unrealistic, unobjective statements. We cannot discuss it as fact. This is part of the propaganda against Syria for the last 4 years. So whatever Amos or any other official or any organization says something against us doesn't mean it's real. We have to verify what they say. And is it part of the propaganda? Is it politicized or what?
Do you see yourself as the great survivor now of Middle Eastern leaders? President Obama called for you to step down as early as 2011. 2013, there were lots of reports that you'd fled to a Russian warship in the Mediterranean, but you're still here. Your family is still here. Do you think that, looking back on it, that you've had a lucky escape?
No, for one reason, because it wasn't about me to be survival. It was about Syria. It was about terrorism. It was about changing state and president because they don't like those state or their president. They don't like their policies. That's what it's about. It's not personalized problem. They want to personalize it to link everything to the president.
But what a price to pay. Syria's in ruins. There are hundreds of thousands of people dead. You've been the commander. You must bear command responsibility.
What Assad was just describing before the interviewer chimed in was exactly what the interviewer was trying to do.
For some of that.
Yeah, according to the constitution and according to the ethics of your job, is to prevent your country when it's under attack, not to fled and run away. And that's what we've been doing.
I spoke to a teacher who'd come from Kabul, which is an area which has been held by the Russians.
Okay. That's good enough. I recommend looking into this because, well, it's interesting. Thanks for watching.